Have you ever stopped to notice how certain desires seem to run your life? That urge to please, to be seen, to feel wanted, it pulls you like it's bigger than your own will. That's not just desire, it's conditioning, and it didn't start yesterday. It began long ago when you didn't even understand what it meant to be a real man. They made you believe your worth depended on how others saw you, that if no one wanted you, you were worthless. Day after day, the world trained you to measure yourself by outside eyes, never by what's within. You became a prisoner of your own longing. And the worst part? You kept smiling through it. You hit the gym, buy new clothes, fake a persona, just for a nod of approval. And when it finally comes, how long does it last? Seconds, maybe minutes. Then it fades and you run after it again. That's not achievement. It's addiction. Slavery dressed up as freedom. Scripture warned us, like a city broken into and left without walls is a man who lacks self-control. Proverbs 25:28. And James Allen echoed it. He who does not control his thoughts will be controlled by them. The more you chase desire, the farther you drift from your essence. While you're trying to impress the world, others are silently building empires, and you're slowly dimming your light just to fit in. But wake up. This desire that feels so you was planted in you. The more you feed it, the stronger it grows, until it rules what you buy, where you go, who you love, how you live. That's why so many men feel tired, lost, hollow. Allen would call this misdirected energy. You have fire and strength, but you're burning in the wrong place. Here's the good news. The same energy that pushes you to seek others' approval can drive you to look within and build something eternal. You don't need to kill your desire, you need to transform it. Christ was tempted in the desert with pleasure, power, and recognition, and he resisted, not because he didn't feel it, but because he knew who he was. That's where your shift begins, remembering who you are without applause, likes, or validation. If you need to be desired to feel alive, you're already dead inside. You know that feeling of always owing something to someone, of constantly needing to prove your worth. That comes from unresolved desire. The antidote is awareness, self-mastery, and direction. Allen said, desire is the starting point, discipline is the path to the finish line. The word confirms, better a patient man than a warrior, better one who rules his spirit than one who takes a city. Proverbs 16:32. The world taught you to conquer everything except yourself. But what if you decide to change that? What if, for the first time, you silence the outer noise and listen to what truly burns within? What if you separate what you want from what you are conditioned to want? This is where most give up. The path is silent, solitary, deep, but it's the only road to freedom. If you've made it this far, something inside you is already moving. Maybe you don't know where to start, but you know you can't stay the same. And that's already the beginning of everything. Look around. Almost everything in this world revolves around desire, pleasure, status, attention, but almost no one teaches you what to do with that power. Most people consume, few transform. Earl Nightingale called it transmutation of creative energy. When redirected with wisdom, it becomes focus, persistence, and vision. Left uncontrolled, it destroys. It's like fire. In the fireplace it warms, but loose in the forest, it devours. The Bible illustrates this with Joseph, son of Jacob. Tempted by Potiphar's wife, young, strong, desired, he said no and protected his integrity, ending up in prison. By today's standards, people would say he missed his chance, but God saw it all. And later, Joseph became governor of Egypt. Mastery today is power tomorrow. So ask yourself, what do you do with your desire? Do you use it to feel alive for 10 minutes? Or channel it into something that helps you grow for 10 years? Transmutation is not repression, it's redirection. It's looking at your impulse and saying, I see you, but I'm in charge. The man who masters desire is not cold, he is powerful, because he acts out of choice, not out of lack. See the difference? One acts to impress, the other to impact. One needs applause, the other lives with purpose. Transmutation is war, not against the world, but against yourself. It's saying no when everything screams yes. It's holding the line when your body wants to collapse. It's choosing the narrow road. James Allen said, "Every great conqueror first conquered himself." And the Apostle Paul echoes, "I discipline my body and make it my slave, so that after preaching to others, I myself will not be disqualified." 1 Corinthians 9:27. The system doesn't want you to realize this, because a man who governs himself cannot be manipulated. He doesn't bend for likes. He doesn't get lost in parties. He doesn't need to prove anything. He walks in silence, and his silence disturbs. Where everyone is screaming for attention, he remains whole. Where others beg to be desired, he offers direction. And something rare happens. His presence carries weight because he holds something you can't buy, can't learn in a short video. It's only earned in the dark: discipline, clarity, and inner power. You may ask yourself, where do I begin? The answer is simple, not easy. It begins every time you say no to what distracts you. Every time you choose purpose over instant pleasure. Every time you honor your time, energy, and vision, even if no one gets it. The world rewards those who build in silence. But first, you must decide. Stop chasing desire and start chasing purpose. Channel your energy, not to please, but to produce. If this makes sense, take a deep breath. It's time to go deeper, to enter a place few ever reach. The territory of silence, of emptiness, of inner battle. Most run from it, but that's where the strong are forged. You felt that emptiness when no one replies to your message, that anxiety in the silence, as if something inside you whispers, "Am I still relevant?" This feeling is common, and it says more about you than about others. Many are addicted, not to substances, but to reflections. They need reactions, desire, likes, to feel like they exist. James Allen called it the invisible enemy, the inner voice that sabotages your decisions. It doesn't shout. It whispers, "You're only worthy if noticed." If no one desires you, you have no value. If you don't impress, you'll be forgotten. But that's a lie, and it's an old one. Scripture warns, "The heart is deceitful above all things." Jeremiah 17:9. Not everything you feel is real. Emptiness isn't your enemy, it's your mirror. It reveals what truly lives in you, not what the world expects of you. The problem is, we were trained to run from silence, because silence exposes. Only those who face it head-on are able to rebuild. Allen taught, the control of thought begins with awareness of impulse, which is impossible if you're always distracted. That's why silence scares people. It strips your crutches away and shows you the truth. Most prefer the noise, chasing quick pleasures and instant validation. But the man who longs for freedom must cross the desert. There, the ego screams, the neediness shows, the transformation begins. Christ spent 40 days in the desert before fulfilling his purpose. He faced hunger, loneliness, and temptation, and came out stronger because he knew who he was, even without applause. And you, do you know who you are when the world goes silent? Can you look in the mirror and honestly say your peace doesn't depend on replies, stares, or likes? This is where many stop. Being ignored hurts, but what hurts more is realizing you've been ignoring yourself by trying to be who you're not. Here's the good news. Reconstruction begins the moment you stop begging and start rising, not with a loud gesture, but in silence, with steady steps and a clear mind. Taking control of your mind is an act of courage. You don't need noise to exist. You don't need an audience to feel worthy. What you need is clarity, discipline, and direction, and that is born in the silence, where no one applauds, but God sees you. There, in that quiet space, you make an inner vow. From now on, I'm in charge. You don't need to say it out loud. Feel it. It's not a pretty phrase. It's a choice, a decision to stop living like an emotional puppet, to stop letting desire drag you around, to become the author of your own story. Maybe you feel it's time to speak less and listen more, to react less and act with awareness, to stop begging and start leading. The world is full of needy men, But neediness never builds anything. Builders are those who can handle silence, walk in peace, learn to be alone without feeling lonely, because they carry within them what the world can't give or take away. That is true strength. After the silence comes the decision. What will you do with what you've discovered? Many understand, they feel inspired, but the next day they return to autopilot, because applying truth hurts more than hearing it. But if you've endured the mirror, the desert, and the hunger for validation, then you're ready for more. Now begins the building, and it requires emotional autonomy, not needing others' approval to feel whole, not begging for affection, generating your own light. Scripture says, "The joy of the Lord is your strength." Nehemiah 8:10. The source of power is within, it's in God. When that happens, the game changes. You no longer act out of panic. You choose, you filter, you build. Your environment shifts, people around you feel it, you speak less, but your presence weighs more. You no longer seek to be desired. You become unforgettable because the man who is complete doesn't need to impress. That desire energy, once wasted, now fuels your creation, construction, and purpose. Earl Nightingale said, "Creative energy is the most powerful force in the human being. Properly channeled, it can take you to the top of any field." Do you understand? You're not meant to dim your light. You're meant to shine it in the right place. You were born to move at your own rhythm, on your own path. The secret is focus. The world throws distractions. Desire is one of them. But the one who masters focus masters everything. He doesn't get lost in vanity, shallow relationships, or the need to please. He observes, acts, delivers. Proverbs 4:25 advises, "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you." No, that's direction, that's self-governance. While the world chases bodies, status, and likes, the builders of legacy work in silence. Those who have learned to transmute desire turn impulse into purpose, turn emotional need into lasting legacy. Desire doesn't need to be eliminated. It needs to be governed. You don't put out the fire, you build with it. You don't kill passion, you give it a direction. When that happens, you're no longer dragged through life, you lead it. At this stage, you don't need applause, promises, or likes. You carry a force that doesn't need translation. You made it here. If this message resonated, something inside has already changed. Maybe it's just a spark. Maybe it's a wildfire. The choice is yours. You can go back to who you were, or you can hold on to what was born today. If you choose to hold it, you already know what you need to declare. Even in silence, I'm in charge now. Write that phrase wherever you can see it. Not to prove it to anyone, but to remind yourself that something changed. Repeat it every time your old self tries to return, every time desire tries to pull you back, every time lack knocks at your door. From now on, you don't live to please. You live to govern. The world may not be ready for men like this, but you are.